You see him on the news.
CNN.com contributor, Dean Obeidallah. So, Dean...
Watch him at comedy clubs.
When I say Mecca, do you think of a holy place or an urban clothing line?
Read his articles. And you hear him on the radio. The Dean Obeidallah Show is on live right here on SiriusXM Progress, Channel 127.
And welcome to the show, brothers and sisters of the Resistance. Monday, April 1st. It is All Fool's Day, as they say. I hope you had a good weekend. I'm still here to be your MBFF. I'm on Twitter, where I'm eternally needy, painfully needy, waiting for you there at Dean Obeidallah. Or go to Facebook.com/Dean of Radio. You can watch the monologue. We have guests in studio, Facebook.com/Dean of Radio. So I hope you had a nice weekend. I hope you had some fun. Sort of the calm before another storm building as we're getting closer to maybe the Mueller report, maybe subpoenas. Who knows where that's going? But SNL was live. They had some funny stuff on their take on the release of the Mueller report. Not the Mueller report, the Barr letter. We don't have the Mueller report. We have a Barr letter. So here's the first clip. I'll play two clips from it I found funny. First one is you have Robert De Niro back as Robert Mueller, Alec Baldwin as Trump, and SNL cast member Aidy Bryant as Bill Barr. Here's clip number one, please.
I am submitting these 380 pages.
I am writing almost 4 pages.
I am reading 0 pages. But Sean Hannity has read it, and he was so excited that he texted me an eggplant.
On the charge of obstruction of justice, we have not drawn a definitive conclusion.
But I have, and my conclusion is Trump's clean as a whistle.
Free at last, free at last.
As for conspiracy or collusion, there were several questionable incidences involving the president's team, but we cannot prove a criminal connection.
No collusion, no diggity, and no doubt.
However, we have indicted 34 individuals in connection with this probe.
Most of them very good people.
The pardons are already in the mail.
And then there is something here they have an exchange comedically, which is real, though, and it's something we're going to touch on in a second. And that's the idea of the Mueller report actually being released to us, as opposed to sanitized by Bill Barr, who was appointed by Donald Trump, and how much will be redacted and what Congress sees and what we in turn see. So let's hear clip number 2 from SNL.
Rusher, if you're watching, go to bed. Daddy won.
And I should remind everyone, there are still several other ongoing investigations.
1 or 2 tiny investigations.
And their investigations into Democrats, TV shows that have been mean to me, and Puerto Rico. That's right. I want my paper towels back, amigos.
Somebody from the Trump team might have met with Russians at some point.
Somebody distantly associated with Trump might have done something weird.
Somebody once told me the world was gonna roll me. I am the sharpest tool in the shed.
In conclusion, it is my hope that this report will be made public with a few redactions.
Hella redactions.
We're gonna black out everything except the words no and collusion.
And that's exactly what we will see from Bill Barr. A report that literally just says no and conclusion, and everything is blacked out on the report. On Friday, we covered in length what was going on because Bill Barr had dropped a new letter, his second in a series of letters. And, you know, I said it had the makings of a cover-up. Not everyone agreed, but I think we can all agree what Bill Barr is doing is not transparency. He got the report from Mueller a week before that, was able to summarize the entire 400 pages and appendices and attachments in less than 2 days, but for some reason, he could not deliver to us the rest of the report. Well, the good news is today, the chair of the House Judiciary Committee, Gerald Nadler, a short time ago, announced they're going to vote Wednesday, the committee, and Democrats control it, so it will happen. They're going to authorize subpoenas to obtain the entire report from Robert Mueller. And obviously, it's escalating a feud. It could lead to a little mini constitutional crisis in the courts. We'll find out. But I will tell you this. The letter written by Bill Barr on Friday made it clear he was going to redact so much. And there are 4 areas that Bill Barr said he's going to redact. 3 of them are based on law. The 4th is based on Bill Barr helping Donald Trump and everyone in the Trump circle. And that one is, he said, I'm going to redact from Congress and the public information to protect, quote, the personal privacy and reputational interests of peripheral third parties. Peripheral third parties is anyone. Donald Trump was not charged, so in the mind of Bill Barr, he could be a third party. Certainly Donald Trump Jr. is a third party. Roger Stone is a third party. Ivanka Trump, Jared Kushner, they're all third parties, meaning there could be so much in there about all of them that Robert Mueller found evidence of them speaking to Russians, maybe involved in potentially obstructing justice to a certain level. And we don't get to see any of that. And that's what Bill Barr's goal is, to not allow us to see it. Well, the good thing is Nadler's is seeking a full and complete report. And we had Congressman Harley Rhoda on Friday from California who made an excellent point. He said, Democrats, a freshman, the House Intel Committee looks at top secret confidential information all the time. So Barr's claim that somehow this is top secret or it's confidential or it's secrecies involved. Congress looks at that. Intel Committee especially looks at all of that all the time. They fund it. They create programs dealing with that are top secret. They should, at the very least, that committee alone see every single thing. I understand going to the public, to us, certain things might be redacted, names of spies and things like that, sources and methods. I have no problem with that. But first, the people we've elected to Congress should see every single page, every single word without any redaction whatsoever. At least the Intel committees. And there you can then spread it out to other people. So here's the thing, though, folks. All this entire discussion we're having, and I'm not relitigating, did Donald Trump conspire with the Russians? We saw what we saw. We heard what we heard. We're never going to unsee it, nor are we ever going to unhear it. All of us know, based on common sense, Donald Trump did something with the Russians. Was he compromised? Was he blackmailed? Were they paying him? Was it about financial reward down the road? Was there a reason he stood with Vladimir Putin on the world stage in Helsinki over our own intel agents? There is. We just don't know. And I'm not going to sit here and go, he's definitely criminally in conspiracy with Russians. We don't have that evidence. We don't. We didn't have it before. I thought Mueller would get it. We don't. This is not about that. This is about two things. One is transparency. Second, the only reason we're having this conversation about transparency and Gerald Nadler is that we all worked so hard to win the House of Representatives last November. If we had not won the House, Paul Ryan would be Speaker. And right now, the Republican Judiciary Committee would be a GOP member. And the Intel Committee would still be Devin Horrific Nunes. And nothing. There'd be us complaining, but without any power. But because we all worked really, really hard, we flipped the House. We flipped 40 seats. We also flipped 7 governorships. We won the House in a record number for a midterm election by an over 8 million vote margin. It's remarkable. We got 53% of the vote to the 45% of the GOP in total votes for the House congressional races. Because of that work, we can now have this discussion. And we're going to get something because Gerald Nadler and members of Congress have subpoena power. If they were in the minority, they would not have that. They'd be on cable news begging and, oh, this is unfair and this is terrible. You know, Kenneth Starr, 2 days after his report was submitted about Bill Clinton, it was released to the public. Absolutely true. But we have the power to do something. And something else we saw today was, again, because of all of our work, all of our efforts, everyone who made a phone call or told a friend or just voted. We learned more today because over the last 2 years, the Democrats in the minority in the House have been complaining that Donald Trump was granting security clearances like a king, not like a president who's in a system, but whimsically giving it to whoever he wants. And today, because we have control of the House Oversight Committee and Elijah Cummings is the chair of that committee, a woman named Tricia Newbold, who's now being called a whistleblower, went forward over the weekend and spoke to the staff of Cummings, knowing that he's got the power to do something. And what did we learn today? It was breaking news in Washington Post. They got the story, and now it's everywhere. This is really important. And again, this should transcend politics. It absolutely should. Just like releasing the Mueller report, where even a majority of Republicans want the entire Mueller report released. And every member of the Republican House and the Democrats voted before the Mueller report was even given to Barr. We all should get it. Here's what's going on. What we learned today, Tricia Newbold, a longtime White House security advisor, told the House Oversight Committee over the weekend that her colleagues and herself had issued dozens of denials for security clearance. And why did they issue to about 25 people, denying them security clearance? Because they were concerned about blackmail, foreign influence, or other black flags. But they were overruled by Trump. and people in the upper echelons of the political machine of the Trump regime, but we believe it's Trump. Think about this for a moment. Forget politics. Nearly 25 people were flagged potentially because of blackmail, that they were potential compromise for blackmail or foreign influence or other red flags, and Donald Trump whimsically approved them for security clearance. In fact, what we do know now is that 2 of them are senior people in the current administration. I imagine Jared Kushner is one. There's rumors John Bolton could be the other, or perhaps Ivanka Trump. We're not sure. None of this would matter if the Democrats were still in the minority. None of this would matter if we did not work hard to win. This is what I'm showing. Elections have consequences, and we're seeing the good side. I mean, consequence is inherently a negative term, so I'm saying elections have results. And the results are now, we're hearing more about the story. Newbold said to the committee, she's an 18-year veteran of security clearance process under Republican and Democratic presidents. And she warned her superiors that clearances were not always adjudicated in the best interest of national security in the case of Trump. By doing that, by whistleblowing, by saying to her bosses what Trump is doing is not good for our nation, she got penalized. The Trump administration punished her for speaking out. And again, we only know this because the House Democrats have the House now. She said that she faced retaliation. She got a 2-week suspension, even though she was never disciplined before on some trumped-up grounds. And when she returned from her suspension in January, she was removed from her position as a second-level adjudicator on security clearances and no longer a direct supervisor. All because she had the audacity to question King Trump, who is giving security clearance to people who have been flagged for potential of blackmail and foreign influence, and Trump doesn't care. And what's remarkable now, the good thing is Chairman Cummings has said he's vowed more subpoenas because he's issued numerous requests to the Trump administration in the last few weeks on this very issue. And now I don't know, why would you approve someone who could be blackmailed? What if they're compromised by Russia? Why would Donald Trump approve someone who might be blackmailed by Russia or Saudi Arabia, compromised by another nation, or potentially compromised for blackmail? Why would Donald Trump overrule them? We don't have Mueller anymore to figure this out. We have to figure it out. I don't know why, but it's not normal. And how do the Republicans respond? I'm sure you're probably thinking, well, they stepped it up. They're like, this is wrong. We've got to get to the bottom of this. Ha ha, laugh. Not true. What did Jim Jordan, the guy who doesn't own a jacket, a Republican from Ohio, the Jim GYM Jordan, as they spell it on Twitter, say about this? And this is simply an investigation based on a person saying, I worked in the government and they overruled 25 people for security clearance who shouldn't get it. Jim Jordan said, Chairman Cummings' investigation is not about restoring integrity. The security clearance process is an excuse to go fishing through the personal files of dedicated public servants, adding the process by which this matter has so far progressed has been anything but fair. They're actually trying to cover this up. And so these 2 incidences right here show us what happens when we win. Now, the flip side is when we don't win, what happens? One is you got Trump giving security clearance to anyone who's compromised because he wants to, because that's what Trump does. He's a king, not a president. Secondly, we're seeing what's happening in the Senate with Mitch McConnell. And my big thesis here tonight is that not only do we have to beat Donald Trump in 2020, we have to beat Mitch McConnell. He's up for re-election, and we have to do everything we can to knock him out of the Senate. Because what is going on in the Senate is unbelievable. Every bill that passes the House, from health care to voting ID protections, voting rights protections, to equal pay for women, the list goes on. Mitch McConnell does not even have the light of day for a vote. But what does he do? The audacity of Mitch McConnell. He writes an article today in Politico titled, Time to Stop the Democrats' Obstruction. And listen to this McConnell stuff. If you're drinking, I'll take a moment because you're going to spit out your drink here. It's a spit take. It's so insane. Mitch McConnell accuses the Democrats of obstructing Trump's presidential nominees, saying, quote, the president's nominees deserve consideration. Mitch McConnell is complaining that the Democrats in the Senate are slowing down the process for Trump to get his judicial nominees confirmed. Too bad for old turtle McConnell there. We have a thing called Google. Most of you know about it. Maybe Trumpers you don't, but it's an amazing thing, technology. You can actually check facts. Here is Mitch McConnell when Merrick Garland was nominated by President Obama. And listen to Mitch McConnell brag about his greatest accomplishment as majority leader of the Senate. Here's clip number 3.
One of my proudest moments is when I looked at Barack Obama in the eye and I said, Mr. President, you will not fill this Supreme Court vacancy.
And that same turtle today, time to stop the Democrats' obstruction. The president's nominees deserve consideration. So, and McConnell won't work with Democrats because he is up for 2020 and he's looking at a landscape that might be challenging. That's what people around him are saying. And this is the consequence of not winning the Senate and having Trump there. We've got to knock McConnell. We need to knock Trump out, both of them. And look, in 2020, there are 22 Republican Senate seats on the line, while Democrats need to just protect 12. We pick up 3 in the White House and the vice presidency. We have control. Just got to pick up 3. That's it. And, Mitch McConnell, let's learn from Mitch McConnell. Here's what Mitch McConnell said in 2010, explaining his priorities as majority leader of the Senate. And it was not about American workers to make sure people have raises in their wages or health care. No, Mitch McConnell's number one priority was this. Here's clip number 4.
Our top political priority over the next 2 years should be to deny President Obama a second term.
Well, our number one priority is to not only deny a second term for Trump, but a term for Mitch McConnell. And we need to do everything we can. I'm not kidding. Whatever I can do, whoever the Democratic nominee is for for Senate in McConnell's Kentucky, we have to help that person. I know it's a tough lift, but this guy is literally vile and despicable. He's also effective. And this is where we stand. So how does it feel to hear Mitch McConnell today write an op-ed for Politico slamming Democrats for obstruction in the Senate, and all they're doing is slowing down confirmations, when Mitch McConnell bragged to an adoring crowd about how this is remarkable. He was able, his greatest accomplishment is stopping Merrick Garland. And how does it make you feel to know that because we all worked hard, the House Democrats are going to get the Mueller report in some form? We're going to get it. And we're also going to get to the bottom of Donald Trump, King Trump, giving security clearances to people who do not deserve them, who should not have them. And not because they're Republicans, because they are not fit morally or from an intelligence point of view to have security clearance. This should not be left or right. This should really be, if you do not get to the level of security clearance, 25. And I was watching some experts who worked in other administrations who said in other entire administrations, they would see 1 or 2 times the president would overrule people and say, yes. Trump, in his first 2 years, overruled them 25 times. This is beyond norms. This is about a threat to the nation. So, look, you're my guest at the top of the hour. I'd love to hear your view on this. If you want to talk about any other issue, if you like Beto O'Rourke's rollout, I thought it was pretty interesting on Saturday. We're going to talk a lot about immigration in the second hour. We got Raul Reyes joining us. We're going to talk about the situation at the border with Custom and Border Patrol storing migrants like they're furniture under a bridge in El Paso. I've never seen this. This is horrific what's going on. Also have Congressman Ro Khanna on at the bottom of the next hour to address that issue, the Mueller report, and also he's on the Oversight Committee with Elijah Cummings. Now talk about this very thing, about getting to the bottom of Donald Trump's giving security clearance to people who should not have it, and why that is a risk to all Americans. And even if you're a Trumper, you should be concerned about that. So I'd love to hear from you, 866-997-4748. You're my guest right to the top of the hour. Be right back.
You're listening to the Dean Obeidallah Show, where we crush Trump's lies every single day.
On Sirius XM Progress 127.